Have a win away to Manchester United. From our eyes, it looked pretty perfect for you.
Great day, and I know this club, with the history the club has, and we always wanted to write our own chapters in this history book, and that tonight obviously was another one, which is nice. For the people tonight, it's great. Come on. My wife was here as well, somewhere there, so she enjoyed it, obviously, I hope, as well.
What are your overall feelings now?
Sad, disappointed, angry, of course, but my emotions doesn't matter here now. These players and this group has come too far to give up. I know I've seen the development through the years I've been here with the group. They stick together, they look after each other, and today we weren't good enough.
At the moment I'm hurt, I'm disappointed, I'm going to look at myself. Every player should do. They should go home tonight, look in the mirror, and look at themselves, look at the individual performance.
Mo Salah obviously stands out with a hat-trick. How good is he? Where is he in terms of the players you've played with?
It's one of the best for sure. The way it finishes is unreal, I think. Even the one that I assist is not an easy ball in with one touch. He just puts in the back of the net. And this is massive, important for the team, because in the end, that's what...
There as well. So, human nature, it can go either way, this. Of course, you know, players can sulk, I can sulk, or we can come together.
That was an afternoon at Old Trafford that neither team will ever forget for very different reasons. And right here, this graphic really sums up Manchester United's season. Goals conceded, 15. They are ranked 16th in the Premier League. The clean sheets, only the one. The errors leading to shots. The tackles, 104. They are 20th when you rank them against the other teams in the Premier League. Tim, that literally shows a lack of desire, does it not?
A lack of desire is a lack of ability as well. I mean, we all know they've got ability as individual players. There's a lot of world-class players there, but, you know, giving the ball away, decision-making in wrong areas of the field, not winning the ball back, tackles, to be last on tackles. Now, it's all right being a manager and you go on a coaching field and, like Ollie said, it's his philosophy. He doesn't blame anyone else, but he needs some help. He needs someone who's going to be out and coach these guys and tell them what is required, both in possession and out of possession. They're void of any ideas. I've been saying it for a long time now. Looks like it just throws them onto the pitch, and wherever they land, they have to play. And it's not always about formations, but it's about principles. It's about, are we going to push? If one pushes, someone goes in, we'll funnel in together behind, or do we sit off and do we soak up the pressure and we counter-attack? And it's also an art to have a personality as a manager to make world-class players run around. Now, he seems like he's scared to tell the players to run, or they're not running, he's asking them to, and they're not doing it, and he's not doing anything about it. Now, someone like Simeone has world-class players. He plays aggressive, out of possession. They have to run back as quick as they run forward. They have to tackle. They'll be scared not to. He's got the personality to be able to do that. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer hasn't got that personality, unfortunately. I'm not sure where they go from here.
Where do you think they go from here?
No, I'd agree. I think he mentioned it there, that the group and himself haven't come so far for him to then walk away. But I think he's took that group of players as far as he can. I think you've seen today the goals they conceded, how disconnected the group was between the units. Defensively, they were poor, and just too many errors. And as you mentioned, it's not just out of possession, it's in possession. The amount of turnovers in midfield through sloppy passing, as Tim mentioned, is just not good enough for a Man United team.
And you said, Tim, I mean, you've managed the game, you managed teams, you know, you've had great moments, you would have had tough times as well. But you look at that team, and as you said, they just don't seem to know what they're doing. No,
they're void of any idea, of any process of what they're being told. And it's obvious for anyone to see when you're watching the game. Do they look like they're coached? They don't. They don't look like they're coached. You know, out of possession is easier to coach than in possession. And really, it's what good players need. They need to know how organised they're going to be out of possession. When you're playing against a team like Liverpool, where you know where the threat's going to come, and let's be honest, everyone in the world who's watching now knows how Liverpool are going to play. Jurgen Klopp's sides don't spring up any surprises. They play 4-3-3. We know that it's all about rotation in the front three. But to organise a team to go against that should be quite straightforward. I know it's difficult because you've got individuals with pace, but surely you don't leave the pace in behind you in your defence. You drop your defenders, you bring your midfield back, you have less gaps in between, and you counter-attack with the pace of Rashford and Greenwood, and you've got Ronaldo up top. surely that was the way to go. It might not be how Man United fans want to see them play in the long run, but at the moment, with the players what he's got, and he's got good players, by the way, they're just void of any idea. I don't see anything he works on the training field replicated on the match day. And that was obvious today.
And of course, I mean, we were thinking at half-time, OK, they're 4-0 down. This is embarrassing. It's humiliating for them. But yet they didn't really show that desire in the second half either. Yet Liverpool were still hungry for more goals.
They didn't show the desire. I think you've seen what Ollie tried to do. They got overrun in the first half in midfield. They tried to play a 4-2-4 and it just got overrun, which allowed the front three, the interchange up front for them. Fullbacks were getting high. He tried to play a diamond, so he tried to not allow Liverpool to play through the middle and be a little bit tighter and bring in Paul Pogba on to do that. But, I mean, taking a quick corner at 5-0 down and leaving a loose ball, I think Pogba tried to show that desire, that aggression, and he was just laying over the top of the ball and obviously down to 10 players with 30 minutes remaining. It's a nightmare for the rest of the players to see out that 30 minutes.
It certainly is. Well, of course, we were showing the match live on Matchday Live. Steve Bauer, Michael Owen and Paul Scholes were watching the game, and Scholesy was asked, where does Ole Gunnar Solskjaer go from here? And this is what he had to say.
I don't know, Steve. It's going to be very difficult for him. Can
he come back from that?
Yeah, I think he can. There has been some bad results in his reign. You think, going back to last year, the 6-1, I think it was against Spurs. He came under a lot of pressure. I don't think there was any crowd at that game, so that probably helped a bit. But this is slightly different, Liverpool. It's going to be very difficult to come back from it. But I think there's a chance he might do. I really don't know. It's probably a bit too hasty to start talking about stuff like that when it's been such a sad day, but you do have to question tactics. Today, of all days, keep going back to it, playing them two in midfield virtually on their own against a Liverpool team, at times in the middle of the pitch. They've not just got Keita, Henderson, Milner, who went off injured, Curtis Jones comes on. They've then got players dropping into midfield. You've got Salah. It's almost 2 against 5 players at time. It's impossible for any midfield. I mean, we can sit here and say that Fred and McTominay aren't good enough for Man United in centre midfield to win a league. But when you're left exposed as they are, it's impossible for anyone. This was always going to happen. Playing a game like that against a top-class team, this was always going to happen. And do you know what? I think players have to take a bit of criticism as well. We keep bigging them up, saying how special a group we think he's produced. A lot of these players have won nothing. Cristiano's come, he's won. Cavani, he's won. Varane, Pogba, they've won things. The rest of them, they've still got to prove that they can win trophies. It's all right saying we think they can. They play as if they think they can. But for 4 years now, they've not been good enough to win a trophy. So we can't just lay it all on Ole, although I do think...
But in terms of the players today, what you're saying is that he was the one who put that plan together, where they were on the pitch.
I think tactically today was bad. But I thought the other night was bad as well. They got away with it the night because you're not playing against a top-class team. You are playing against one of the best teams there's been, one of the best teams there's around, along with Manchester City in Europe, if not the world. And you are going to get exposed coming up against quality players and a quality manager.
And with that in mind, Tim, we talk about Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. Of course, the onus starts and stops with the manager always, but the players surely need to take responsibility as well. Yeah,
that's right. They're all in it together, but ultimately the buck stops. It's Ole's and always the manager's head on the block. He's the one who takes the credit when things go well. I'm so surprised that he's still in the job. I mean, anyone who manages for 3+ years without winning a trophy at Manchester United, surely is looking at their phone, waiting for it to ring, and it'll be Ed Woodward or the owners of the football club telling them, unfortunately, you're not for us. I think this is a very emotional result. Yeah. I think they've lost bigger games than this, but this is emotionally very big. You know, to lose against your local rivals 5 at your home stadium, I think it's hard to come back from.
And you talk about being hard to come back from this. When you look at the fixtures they have to come, it doesn't really get much easier with Tottenham, another Champions League game against Atalanta, and then Manchester City. You've got Chelsea in there as well. It's hard to see Manchester United getting anything from these games with the way they've performed today.
They've got a tough run. They've come off the back of a tough run. I think, 4 defeats in the league and a draw. As you say, for a Man United team, it's just not good enough. But you say players need to take responsibility. I think players need clarity. They need, as we keep mentioning, they need to understand their role. And you know, in this Man United team, I don't think any of those players understand what is expected from them. If you have a little bit of an understanding, that's when leadership from players that can come into it. So when you play and you kind of understand what's expected, you can lead your team in game. And I think what Man United haven't got is any clarity in terms of what they're going to do in and out of possession, and therefore players can't take the lead on the pitch because they don't know. So they're just doing their own thing and they're working in isolation, and that's where the goals come from today.
I think it's easier. I think the formation, just so it simplify it for the people watching. Talking about Fred and McTominay sitting in there, and Scholes talking about them getting overrun. They're getting overrun because Greenwood and Rashford are not coming back into them areas and defending. They need to run back, right? Now, that is up to the manager to tell them that and force them to do that. And then you've got Bruno Fernandes, who's playing like just free. He wants to play when the team get the ball. He's got to drop back in between the two midfield players, McTominay and Fred, and thicken up the midfield when you're getting overrun. Then you haven't got the problem. And then you can let Ronaldo conserve his energy and do what he does best, is score big goals. Yeah. He got one opportunity, it was offside today, to score a big goal. That is simple. It's not so complex. It's not so sophisticated that the boys can't understand it.
But if it's just so simple...
It's withdrawing your wide players, so it nullifies the threat of Trent Alexander-Arnold and Robertson, who are a big threat for Liverpool. And then when you win the ball, we know you've got ball carriers like Greenwood and Rashford to carry the ball forward. You've got Bruno Fernandes, who wants to get on the front foot and run towards the opposition goal. It's simple. But without the ball, they don't do it. They stay up the field and they just get caught out. And Fred and McTominay have to add the personality. If I'm in that midfield, I'm saying, you get back here, you get back here. Don't worry about what the manager's saying. We're getting overrun here. I need some help. And Bruno, you get your little arse back in there as well.
Well, you do wonder, though, if it is so simple, why do they not do it? And I mean, we could talk about this forever, and I'm sure the conversation will continue for a long time about this specific performance. But we've got to celebrate Liverpool, haven't we? Because they were absolutely brilliant today. Man United let them do what they did, but Mo Salah, everything he touches seems to be turning to gold at the moment.
He's the most informed player in the world at the moment. I think his performances of late, I mean, it's 10 in 10 for him in terms of his goals. It's not... He doesn't just score, it's what he does off the ball as well. I think, you know, you talk about the work rate of Rashford and Greenwood as two front players. His desire to, you know, to win the ball back when he loses it here, to get in front of players. He links play so well, he gets between the lines, he can dribble. He's just, you know, he's in the form of his life, and I think it's a big part of why Liverpool are doing so well this season and have done so well over the last few years.
Oh, he's just in great form, isn't he? And Tim, I mean, he's the leading African goal scorer in the Premier League. He was tied with Drogba going into this game. Now he scored his hat-trick. He's way ahead, and he's just in the form of his life, as Farah said.
Incredible. I didn't think anyone would match Didier's record, but I mean, this little man is just a genius in front of goal, and he's this finishing looks so easy, but it's so difficult. He can only slide it into the near post, and he's absolutely brilliant. I mean, the pass here, I mean, they win the ball. This is when you talk about pressing. That's how to press. Look, surrounded him. And the pass from Henderson's fantastic. He overruns it, but he just sorts his feet out so well, and he lays the guy down and just dinks it over the top. It's just wonderful at the moment. He, without doubt, is the best striker in the world at the moment.
He's just so willing to run both ways, though, isn't he, and get around the ball. Like, defensively, he's in a good position for a transition. And then on attack, when he sees, you know, Henderson and players in midfield pick up the ball, he knows he's going to get it. He's making that run beyond defenders and getting defenders facing their own goal. And then, as you mentioned, the footwork.
But they make it easy. When Man United decide to defend the halfway line, you see how much space is in behind, you know, and they're going to exploit it. I mean, they played into their hands today, but you have to give credit to Liverpool.
Yeah, you certainly do. And speaking of Liverpool, let us hear from their captain. Speaking to Matchday Live earlier on is Jordan Henderson.
Jordan, well done. Good to see you. I mean, as Liverpool captain, does it get any better than winning 5-0 at Old Trafford?
Not really. I've been here many a time. It's a tough place to come. So to win the way we did today was really special. I thought from start to finish the performance was outstanding. Of course, when they go down to 10 men, it makes it more difficult for them. But even up until that, I thought we were in full control of the game, and performance was a special one today.
And once again, you showed that incredibly ruthless streak in front of goal that this team's got at the moment.
Yeah, that's the big difference. You know, you can play well and sort of miss chances, and the game can go a different way. But I thought we were very clinical today in front of goal, and that makes a difference.
Jordan, a couple of curveballs in the team selection, or so we thought beforehand. Of course, Sadio not playing, Matip not playing as well, and of course a bit of a reshuffle in midfield, and then you get an injury during the game. Just shows, a lot of people say the squad's quite thin in terms of quality, but pretty much showed that you've got a deep squad there today.
Yeah, I think we've got to use the squad, especially like midweek, you know, travelling, tough game against Atletico. 3 games in a week, it can be tough, so you've got to use the squad, which we did today, and did very well. So I thought the lads that came into the game were exceptional, and that's the way it needs to be from now right until the end of the season. We need to use everybody in the full squad, and again, we used that today, which is a big bonus for us.
Well, what a night for Liverpool, a moment they will never forget.